prevent Congress from getting to the truth and getting the answers we deserve.
Joining us now is Congressman David Cicilline, who you just saw there from the great state of Rhode Island. He's on the committee in the room for today's interview with Hope Hicks. She is the first Trump White House official to be questioned by Congress since the release of the Mueller report. Sir, I thank you for being here. I appreciate your time.
My pleasure.
So your frustration, I mean, I don't know you that well, but I've talked to you a few times. I feel like I can read your body language a little bit, and I felt like you were seething with frustration there. Am I right to read that?
You are right to read that. This was a very important witness for the committee to hear from. She was a member of the president's inner circle. She was there when the president directed the outside individual, Corey Lewandowski, to direct the Attorney General of the United States to order the special counsel to limit his investigation to future campaigns and not look at the current presidential campaign. She was there when Don McGahn was directed by the president to fire the special counsel and then lie about it and then prepare false documents to support that lie. She was there when Director Comey was fired. So she's a very important witness. However, throughout her testimony today, she was directed by the White House counsel, the lawyers there for the president, not to answer questions. They objected to any question that was posed to Hope Hicks that had to do with anything she observed or did during the course of her employment in the White House, claiming something called absolute immunity, which doesn't exist. This idea that you are immune from ever being asked anything about your service simply because you worked for the president doesn't exist. They know that. A court has already rejected it. This is an effort of the president to be sure that witnesses do not share valuable information to the committee, to continue in this ongoing cover-up to prevent the American people from knowing the full truth. This was all put before the committee. It's on the record. The next step will be for the committee to go to court to compel the testimony of this witness and to kind of strike down this claim of absolute immunity. We don't have a king. No one has absolute immunity in this country. Everyone is subject to the law of the land, and these witnesses will be ordered to testify.
If court proceedings are next, as you just said, as we saw Sheila Jackson-Lee say today, as we saw Chairman Nadler talk about today, what does that mean for Hope Hicks? Is this a lawsuit against her? Is this a court order that she'd be in personal legal jeopardy if she chose to defy it or chose to evade it in some way? As a witness, as an individual, I mean, we're going to have Annie Donaldson next week. There's going to be other witnesses that are going to be put in this same position by the White House. How much trouble can they get in once you start taking these matters to court?
Well, the issue will be settled first in the litigation that we brought to enforce the subpoena against Don McGahn. If you remember, he made the same claim of absolute immunity. In fact, he said it was so absolute he didn't have to show up. So that will be litigated first. The court will then decide whether or not this doctrine, which they've created, is valid. We all expect that they will reject it and say there's no such thing. That will then apply to all the witnesses that have claimed absolute immunity and require them to come back and provide testimony. If they don't, then that will require separate legal action to compel them. But the first instance I expect will be Don McGahn. I think that will be the first litigation. That's the witness who didn't appear at all and who claimed, again, absolute immunity.
Is this going to be the kind of thing, though, where this is a legal fight that stretches on beyond the amount of time that Donald Trump is president, and we're going to finally have this stuff resolved years down the road? Or are these kinds of proceedings that you think are meaningfully going to work functionally to get testimony and soon?
I think they absolutely are going to meaningfully work. I think a court will give very expedited consideration to this. This is very clearly a tactic by the White House and by the president to delay and to impede and obstruct Congress from getting to the facts and continuing to behave like somehow he's above the law. And I think the court will respond quickly to this and render a decision that will allow the committee to continue to collect evidence and do our job.
Very briefly, Congressman, I know that you and a number of other members today said that we should wait for the transcript of what happened today with Hope Hicks, that a transcript will be released soon. Obviously, you're expressing this frustration and talking about next steps in terms of the questions she wouldn't answer. We know she did answer some things, including about her time on the campaign. When do you expect that we will get that transcript from Hicks?
The transcript should be available within 48 hours, so in very short order.
Congressman David Cicilline from the great state of Rhode Island and Judiciary Committee member.